Is this a genius marketing strategy or proof that the world is losing its mind over one man? 9 individual covers, 1 exclusive full set, 10 versions in total, all sold out,
Gone.
vanished, wiped from shelves in minutes. And at the center of this storm stands Jungkook of BTS, the man fans now call the sold-out king. But here's the real question no one can escape. Did Jungkook just prove his unstoppable global power? Or did the industry finally cross a dangerous line by turning obsession into a business model? Because what happened with El Korea's January 2026 edition was not normal. It was not routine. And it was definitely not just another magazine release. It was an event that split fans, shocked executives, and forced the global entertainment world to ask a terrifyingly simple question. How far is too far? The moment pre-orders opened on Wever's shop, the platform froze under pressure. Fans across continents refreshed screens in panic. Some managed to secure 1 version. Others fought to buy all 9. A lucky few grabbed the full 10 version set. And millions watched helplessly as the word "sold out" appeared like a cruel joke on their screens. 9 versions plus 1 special set. 10 covers. 10 chances to own a different side of Jungkook. 10 reasons for fans to feel both thrilled and trapped. And within hours, headlines exploded. Jungkook effect strikes again. Sold out king does it again. Chanel prince rules fashion world. But behind the glittering words, another narrative quietly grew. Is this creativity or exploitation? The El Korea January 2026 issue featuring Jungkook wasn't just a photo shoot. It was staged like a cinematic moment in Paris. The City of Lights became the stage for a man who now seems bigger than music itself. Jungkook appeared mysterious, elegant, dangerously charming, yet softly boyish. Fans said he looked like royalty. They renamed him Chanel, Your Highness. Others called him the Prince of Paris. But what truly stunned people wasn't just how he looked. It was what his face alone could do to an entire industry. Every single version sold out. All 10, and this wasn't his first time. Before this, Rolling Stone Korea released an edition with Jungkook on the cover. It vanished just as fast. No long promotions. No endless advertising. Just 1 name, 1 image, and millions of wallets opened. Industry insiders started whispering about something they now call the Jungkook effect. A product touches him, and it disappears. A brand names him, and it trends. A magazine prints his face, and it sells out. But when El Korea decided to release not 1, not 2, but 10 versions, something changed. It no longer felt accidental. It felt calculated. And that's where the cracks began to show. Some fans celebrated. They said it was creative. They said it gave people choices. They said it honored Jungkook by showing many sides of him. They proudly posted stacks of magazines, smiling like they had just won trophies. But others didn't smile. Some fans felt uncomfortable. They asked why 10 versions were needed. They asked who truly benefited. They asked if loyalty was being used as a tool. And slowly, a quiet divide appeared inside the fandom. Is buying 10 magazines devotion or pressure? Is multiple versions a gift or a trap? And is the industry respecting fans or testing how far they can be pushed? The debate grew louder when El Korea released behind-the-scenes videos of Jungkook's Chanel beauty shoot. On Instagram alone, those clips passed 8.25 million views. Likes exploded. Comments flooded in from every language. Even the director of Elle Beauty admitted shock. He said that seeing 1 million likes on a teaser was something he had never experienced in his life. That confession alone revealed how rare this level of attention truly is. Jungkook wasn't just trending. He was bending platforms around him. When he spoke about his love for Blue de Chanel during the interview, it sounded simple, honest. He said he liked it because it expressed his natural self without forcing masculinity. He said it revealed his presence without effort. It felt personal, and then the impossible happened. Blue de Chanel sold out, not weeks later, not days later, almost immediately after the interview was released. Fans didn't just admire his words. They acted on them. They copied him. They followed him. And in doing so, they turned a single sentence into global sales chaos. Soon after, Jungkook for Chanel Beauty reached the top of global real-time trends on X. Not because of an ad, not because of a campaign, but because millions of fans decided it mattered. This is the kind of power most brands dream about. And it's exactly why some critics now feel afraid. Because when one person can move markets like this, the temptation to exploit that power becomes enormous. Korea's 10-version strategy is now being studied by other companies. Some executives are calling it genius. They say it allows fans to choose their favorite concept. They say it increases collector value. They say it creates excitement, but critics say something darker. They say it turns love into obligation. They say it quietly pressures fans to spend more than they can afford. They say it blurs the line between admiration and manipulation. And the most painful part is this: both sides might be right. Many fans didn't feel forced. They felt happy. They felt proud. They said buying multiple versions was their choice, their joy, their way of supporting Jungkook, but others admitted they felt stressed. They feared missing out. They felt guilty if they couldn't buy more than one. They felt like real fans were being defined by how much they spent. This is how marketing becomes emotional. This is how business enters the heart. And this is why the question refuses to disappear. Is this strategy celebrating fans or quietly draining them? Jungkook himself has never asked fans to buy 10 magazines. He has never demanded loyalty and money. He speaks about fragrance like art, about fashion like expression, about music like emotion. But once his image enters the market, control shifts. Because in the modern industry, a star is not just a person. He is a trigger for sales, for trends, for obsession. And Jungkook is one of the strongest triggers the world has ever seen. That's why companies line up for him. That's why brands fight to attach his name. That's why magazines design entire strategies around his face. But when does admiration stop being mutual and start becoming one-sided? When fans give everything, what do they truly receive back? Some say they receive happiness, inspiration, pride, a sense of belonging. Others say they receive pressure, comparison, exhaustion. And the industry stands quietly in between, counting profits. The 10-version Korea release didn't just sell magazines. It exposed how powerful emotional marketing has become. It showed that fans don't just buy products. They buy meaning. They buy connection. They buy the feeling of being close to someone they love. That is beautiful and dangerous, because once emotions become currency, the line between care and control becomes thinned. Jungkook's rise in fashion proves his influence goes far beyond music. He is no longer just a singer. He is a symbol, a face that can change sales, shape trends, and rewrite marketing rules. But every symbol carries weight, and the heavier the crown, the more people pull at it. So what happens next? Will 10 versions become the new normal? Will fans slowly accept higher pressure as support? Will industries continue to test limits until something breaks? Or will fans and companies find a healthier balance between love and business? The Korea case will be remembered not just as a success, but as a warning. A shining example of what modern fandom can achieve, and a mirror showing what it might become if left unchecked. Jungkook will continue to shine. That much is certain. His talent, his image, his sincerity, and his global appeal are real. But the world around him must decide what kind of system it wants to build on top of that light, a system that celebrates connection, or a system that consumes it. Because in the end, the biggest question is no longer about Jungkook. It is about us. Are we supporting with love or being guided by fear of missing out? Are we choosing freely or being shaped silently? Are we fans or targets? And when the next 10-version release appears, will we pause to ask why or rush again to buy before it's gone? Because the magazines may be sold out, but the debate has only just begun. And as the debate grows louder, something else becomes impossible to ignore. This was never just about magazines, it was about power. Because when one face can sell out 9 individual versions and one full set in minutes, that is not coincidence. That is influence on a scale few humans in history have ever touched. It forces industries to rethink rules. It forces fans to rethink their own boundaries. And it forces society to ask whether obsession has quietly become a business model, Some insiders now admit that the 10 version concept was never random. It was designed to test limits. Not Jungkook's limits, but the fans. How many versions would people buy? How fast would they sell? How much emotional pressure could be created with scarcity? The results were louder than any advertisement. Screenshots of sold out spread like wildfire. Fans who succeeded celebrated online. Fans who failed cried in comments. Some begged others to resell at fair prices. Some paid double, triple, even more just to own a piece of that moment. That's when critics became louder. They said this wasn't just marketing anymore. They said it looked like an emotional experiment. They pointed out how language around releases has changed. No longer just available now. Now it's limited, exclusive, once in a lifetime. Words designed to make hearts race and wallets open, and Jungkook, unknowingly, sits at the center of it all. Every image of him becomes more than art. It becomes currency. Every sentence he speaks becomes more than opinion. It becomes instruction. Every appearance becomes more than presence. It becomes a market signal. When he said he loved Blue de Chanel because it expressed his natural self, fans didn't just hear emotion. They heard identity. They didn't just buy perfume. They bought a piece of what they believed Jungkook was. That's how deep this goes. This is not about collecting paper. This is about collecting meaning. That's why 10 versions hurt some fans. Because it didn't just say, choose your favorite. It quietly asked, how much are you willing to prove your love? Some fans proudly answered, everything. Others whispered, I can't keep up. And that's where the fandom fracture truly began. On social media, two narratives now live side by side. Point one says, this proves Jungkook's global dominance. No one else can do this. Be proud. The other says, this proves the industry is pushing fans too far. Be careful. Both love Jungkook, but they see the system differently. Some fans argue that no one is forced. That choice still exists. That buying one version is enough. That love is not measured by money. Yet the environment itself whispers a different story. Timers counting down. Limited stock warnings. Fans posting stacks of magazines like trophies. Comments praising those who bought all versions. Without anyone saying it directly, a hierarchy begins to form. Those who can buy more are seen more. Those who can't fade quietly. And that is how emotional inequality is born inside fandoms. Not from cruelty, from structure. The structure of marketing that rewards visibility through consumption. The structure of platforms that amplify extremes. The structure of fandom culture that unintentionally ties worth to sacrifice. Jungkook never asked for this, but his power makes it possible. And that is why companies orbit him like planets around a sun, because wherever he shines, money grows. Fashion houses know it. Magazines know it. Beauty brands know it. They don't just want his face. They want what follows him. Devotion, speed, obsession. But what happens when devotion becomes expectation? What happens when obsession becomes routine? What happens when selling out in minutes is no longer impressive, but required? The 10 version El Korea release might look like a victory. And financially, it absolutely is. But culturally, it is something much more complicated. IT shows how fandom has evolved from support into infrastructure. Fans are no longer just audiences. They are engines. They don't just consume. They create trends, drive algorithms, shape headlines, and move markets. That power is beautiful, but power without protection becomes dangerous. Because when fans become engines, someone always tries to control the steering wheel. And lately, many fans feel like they are being driven instead of choosing the road. They don't want to stop loving Jungkook. They don't want to stop supporting him. They just don't want love to feel like pressure. They don't want joy to feel like competition. They don't want fandom to feel like debt. And yet, with every multi-version release, that fear grows quietly. Because what comes after 10, 12, 15, limited colors, limited covers, limited poses, limited angles, all designed to make one feel like not enough. That is the true fear behind the criticism. Not hatred, not jealousy, but exhaustion. Fans love Jungkook for his voice, his heart, his sincerity, his hard work. They didn't fall for him because he could sell things. That part came later. And now, some fear that the industry is slowly replacing art with strategy. turning emotion into product, turning loyalty into data, turning love into leverage. The Elle Korea January 2026 issue will go down in history as a record breaker, but it will also